Hi, this is Jonathan Harris, Storage Solutions Architect at HPE, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about HPE strategy and give you an overview of where we're focused and what we're doing. Oh, sorry. So as we look at strategy, it's very much focused on what we consider digital transformation. And we really see that the next wave of digital transformation is right on us right now. Um, Recent events, especially as we look back over the last year, have really pushed this to the forefront of most organizations' minds. At HPE, we believe that this digital transformation will be edge-centric, that it will be cloud-enabled, and it will be data-driven. And that's what I'd like to talk to you a little more about now. So as we look at the transformation challenges, right, the move to digitalization in each organization, there are definitely barriers that are out there. And this is obvious at the edge. When you think of the amount of data and devices, there are many issues that you can run into. Security issues. How do we keep the data safe? How do we control access? When it's not behind the corporate firewall and in the corporate data center? And how do you also protect the actual assets that are there as well? Connectivity becomes an issue at the edge as well. How do you access the devices, and how do you move the data to the edge and from the edge so that the data is where it needs to be? Additionally, looking at the cloud, most of the workloads in the cloud that are there now are the ones that were easy to get there. And now we're running into this next generation of workloads where moving to the cloud requires some pretty deep skills in re-architecting and migrating what were legacy applications and workloads in a different way, and moving from traditional infrastructure into cloud platform. And also data is a real inhibitor in and of itself, right? Within data, organizations have been collecting these silos and lakes of data for the last several years, but haven't really tapped into them for business value yet. And most of these failures in data lake mining happen in that last mile where the scientists need to interpret the data and actually bring the value. And this can be a difficult issue to address. Leveraging that data for insights is one of the key issues addressed by HPE's Emerald Data Platform, which we'll talk a little more about in a minute. So what's our strategy to support the emerging trends? Well, we got to focus on what these trends are. And first, one of those trends is that cash is king. Many organizations are trying to save as much cash as possible. HPE's GreenLake program addresses this need by giving consumption options to save cash while adding value with as-a-service metering and monitoring. Additionally, we see that data is the new currency. There is a huge value in control and access to data. It's no coincidence that litigation and law proposals around managing personal data are at an all-time high. The key to navigating this new world will be knowing what your data is, where it is, who can access it, and what it says, right? Data gravity creates a need for hybrid IT. We need cloud and edge-centric solutions designed to allow the movement of data to where it needs to be and access where it lives. And from a cloud native standpoint, and edge-centric designs are now HPE solutions to meet these particular requirements. So also we can see that AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning are necessary to free those data insights that we need. All of that data that's been collected. The trend is now, the AI and ML piece. So finding the real value of data cannot be performed without the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning platforms. It's not something that people can just do. And many organizations don't have the knowledge and the technology to access this new frontier. And this is why HPE has created the Emerald Data Platform with validated architectures and solutions, which are basically kind of the easy button for organizations to step into this new world of artificial intelligence, bridging the gap between business owners and data scientists, where there definitely is a gap. Additionally, we see the trend of IT as a service where the IT organizations with our customers are actually acting as providers and brokers now. More and more we see the consolidation of IT resources that are then offered out to smaller groups and organizations as a service. Utilizing a common control plane with consistent infrastructure is what allows organizations to become service providers in their own right. And HPE is focused on supporting this cloud-based approach for our customers. This supports this idea of IT generalists, right, becoming that IT broker for services within their organization. There are, I guess there's been an evolution as we've acquired and put out new products at HPE. And I just want to touch on a few of these. This isn't all of them, but this is some of them that we've utilized as the underpinning and the foundation for our strategy moving forward, especially around offering as a service. Starting here at the very beginning is the concept of platform security. We brought Silicon Root of Trust as a huge benefit to our customers. Protection from spyware and ransomware has become much easier, and securing the operational changes in our IT environments all the way down to the hardware is a significant game changer. And this is a great new feature that was introduced with our Gen 10 server platforms at HPE. Focusing on cloud analytics and that trend, HPE acquired the tool set of Cloud Cruiser to support our as-a-service models. And Cloud Cruiser introduced the visibility and the ability to monitor and meter services in any cloud, private clouds, public clouds, and any public cloud. Along with that, though, right, came the need to have people that understood these type of infrastructures and had the tool sets in order to work in them. And that is where the acquisition of Red Pixie and CTP came into play. CTP being focused on Amazon Cloud and Red Pixie on Azure. They are designed for moving data in an automated fashion to where it needs to be in and out of the cloud. And this also includes an amazing, some really cool tools for managing data, but also a deep bench of objective consultants to build the right solutions for our customers, agnostic of whatever cloud they want to use and whatever hardware brand they want to use. Focusing on data-driven workload placement, HPE released our intelligent, let me back up just a little bit. I got jumped ahead. So focusing on data intelligence and mobility. Intelligent storage and analytics across the entire portfolio was a huge benefit that we received through the Nimble acquisition with their InfoSight platform. And moving up even from the storage into the entire infrastructure stack and even applications, the visibility and predictive analytics allow HPE to partner with an entire ecosystem of partners to build solutions that will just work and stay working. This also gives the visibility to allow our customers and partners to join with us in solving real world problems that can benefit everybody. Then the next step forward then becomes the delivery of GreenLake as a service. So developing the need for flexible consumption options and solutions was kind of key, right? For us to start leveraging some of these technologies that we had acquired. But we needed to be able to have a model and a process built around that. And that was this GreenLake as a service delivery that we brought out. In conjunction with that, and similar to that time, the HPE data-driven workload placement piece comes piggybacking on top of that, where HPE offers our Right Mix Advisor to tool set to find the right answers to where and how workloads should live, right? So if we're going to start offering as a service, we're going to have those capabilities. We need to be able to give insights and credible advice and consultation around where to place those things and how to use them. Additionally, moving forward, focusing on enterprise containers and edge cloud data fabrics, came the acquisition of Blue Data and MapR. a consistent infrastructure for containerized workloads has been a struggle for a lot of organizations in the past. Now that Kubernetes has become kind of the de facto standard for container orchestration, HPE can now leverage their acquisition of Blue Data and MapR to offer an accessible common management plane and universal data fabric to support any enterprise with a Kubernetes environment, and it would even support heterogeneous environments with containers of different flavors and brands located even in different infrastructures. On the high performance compute front, we have the acquisition of Cray, and it's amazing to see how Cray has been offering up underutilized compute resources within the Cray environments to support COVID-19 research, and it's been a significant help in bringing about inoculation and research and value to the healthcare industry during this pandemic. And HPE was really reaching out to help and make a difference in the world outside, considering, really not considering what the bottom line was, but more about making a difference in our society. And so we're really excited to have Cray as part of the HPE family. It really leads the HPE space within the world and partners very well with the HPC products that HPE has already had for some time with the Apollo water-cooled compute platforms. We also see the development and integration of, through our Pensando partnership, of distributed services platforms. And basically what we're able to do is we're finally able to take those data services that have always been in the core of our data center networks and bring them all the way out to the edge. And not in a clunky fashion, but in a very eloquent fashion. And this overcomes the common shortcomings of traditional firewalls and network security and gives us access and visibility, allowing us to place data taps, right, at any place in the network, not just at particular junctures or at routes. And then just most recently, our acquisition of Silver Peak is another pretty exciting one, introducing the capabilities of software-defined wide area networks, or SD-WAN, into our Aruba portfolio to bring an extension of our existing common management platform with Aruba into what will be some amazing software-defined solutions in the future. And we should see some amazing solutions birthed out of that new partnership and integration. So HPE has always been an ecosystem player. Historically, we have worked closely with technology leaders like Microsoft and VMware and Red Hat, SAP, Oracle. We also have partnered with the big financial players like Accenture and Deloitte. The primary benefit from HPE partnering that way comes when we find that there is a shortcoming of some sort, or some kind of hole in our portfolio, something that maybe HPE doesn't do as well as we could, or doesn't do at all. In fact, sometimes there are times we've strategically decided not to invest in certain services and capabilities or features. And this is when we're able to turn to a myriad of different ecosystem partners to help provide our customers a best-in-class solution that makes sense for them. And some of these come through our HPE Complete portfolio, others through our OEM relationships, and still others through our strategic investment relationships. However, the partnership is built to allow HPE customers to be able to access the best solutions for whatever their particular needs are with HPE. So looking at how we build things moving into the new generations, the workloads that are obviously the cloud journey is going to be a key piece of this. And the workloads that are easy to move into the cloud, as we've mentioned before, are already there. And the ones that are not such a natural fit are suffering from the inhibitors like data gravity and compliance issues and control requirements, interdependencies, performance needs. And in a lot of ways, it's keeping that cloud-like consumption, that cloud-like flexibility from the organizations that are running those applications. And this creates a, besides, keeping some applications out of the cloud that might benefit from it. It also creates a very complex multi-cloud or a dual IT environment. And the problem that comes when you get into this complex multi-cloud environment is you end up with a competition for capital. Who's going to get the money, right? There's siloed operations and tools. So that type of diversity can be hard to support. Talent scarcity, right? It's a different skill set depending on which cloud, right, you're running in, and lack of visibility and governance, obviously. It's really hard to see that those environments aren't designed to work together. AWS and your on-prem or even your colo provider, they don't have a partnership there, and there's not a share, and it's not like technologies and architectures. So how do we address these issues? Well, that's where HPE GreenLake comes in. The first thing HPE did was create our everything as a service model called GreenLake. We created a self-service portal to make it easy for generalists to use. We made it a pay-per-use, allowing flexible consumption to offer some financing and purchasing capabilities, basically with flexibility to overcome whatever the hurdles might be in any given organization. And we built a solution to support scaling up and scaling down based on what your specific need is. Again, it's as a service. And we brought it a level of responsibility to where we can manage it for you at whatever level you need, to whatever level fits best for any given organization. So as we brought this concept of GreenLake and as a service forward, we looked at what we had seen in the music industry as kind of an analog for that. So back in the day, when I was a kid, there were 8 tracks and records and cassette tapes. And that's how I consumed my albums. I would go to the store and I would buy an album, and then I'd put it on the record player or in my tape deck, and I would listen to it. And there started to become kind of a trend where people wanted to customize what it was they were listening to and where they could listen to it. And they started wanting more and more customization in what they listened to. And so they started creating mixtapes. And so they could listen to what they wanted to in whatever order. And they put it in their Walkman and they'd carry it with them, or they would listen to it in their car. And this concept grew significantly with what we call the iPod revolution, where MP3 players and customized music collections, including mobile playlists, were brought to the forefront. So now you could carry so much more with you, and you could pick and choose, and you could organize it how you like, all digitally. Now today, listening to music has gone even to the next level, accessing music almost exclusively through consumption-based platforms. My kids are using Spotify and Pandora and YouTube Music to create playlists rather than carrying around music files. Heck, in most cases, they're using a smart device in our home, our Google Home, to request their music, completely bypassing any kind of personal mobile device. So it's almost like the house is giving them music, and it's all voice activated. So if we take the same concept and idea, we can definitely apply this to the IT experience. And what people are wanting out of their IT experience is really very similar. People want to consume with however they feel comfortable based on whatever their use case is. And for instance, there may be some database or application that needs to reside in a local data center near the organization's people or devices. And because of the way it's architected, it needs to be managed and run in what we consider a legacy style. But it might also need to be or want to be front-ended by some containerized service and middleware running in a public cloud. Right. So you might think, oh, well, this is a dichotomy. These things are going to be mutually exclusive. They aren't going to work together. But people want to be able to choose the right fit infrastructure and not be limited to how they must consume it. Additionally, people are tired of managing infrastructure life cycles, renewals, maintenance, Windows, firmware upgrades. They hate this stuff. Literally, they hate this stuff. And it has become exacerbated by the adoption of things like DevOps and agile application development, where software wants to progress faster than the infrastructure can handle. So as a result, many of the customers ignore it and allow themselves to get behind on patching, rev levels, even technology features. And these trends bring up the question of how do you address these issues by offering all IT options as a service to management and where management and consumption can be personalized to each organization, kind of like a music playlist, right? So this is kind of how it evolved with HPE. Initially, right there, we created a solution where we separated off the physical infrastructure from the overlaying software stack. And there was a line of responsibility that's driven. That's this dotted line, right? And the stuff in green is now the stuff that HPE is going to take responsibility for, and the stuff that's surrounded in orange here is what the customer owns. And this is where the line of responsibility was drawn. And so the customer responsible for infrastructure management and all software layers above just this hardware layer. And this was great for storage customers. It was a really good fit. This is the first place where we saw a model known as flexible capacity showed up. And now this is known as GreenLake consumption hardware. And this allowed control of storage costs and allowed the storage to grow over time, but it was managed in a traditional way, right? So a few years later, though, we took a look at this same stack again, but decided to slice and dice it a little bit differently based on what customers were asking for. So the same stack of infrastructure, but the need was different. For the customer, really, this is going to be then focused on the customer that only wanted to be responsible for the firewall and up. Now they're managing just the OS and the guest applications, maybe the network and the firewall, and monitoring at the higher level in the tags or in the stack, where in reality, many customers would probably actually like to move even further up the line, right? Take this line and move it up maybe even another couple layers. So that they could focus exclusively on application modernization and business outcomes, leaving behind any focus on infrastructure operations. And so this scenario, it created what we now know as the GreenLake private cloud. Now, at the same time that HPE is developing this concept, we also see that cloud providers were doing the exact same thing. They're mirroring this same line, right, of responsibility that we offered, and they're taking away all the operational infrastructure pieces from the customer's view and responsibility. All the customer had to do was choose what size of container or VM they wanted, right? However, these public clouds were completely siloed from each other and from the on-prem infrastructure, right? So there is a pretty big gap in here. Now, so as we learned over time, most organizations will not have the ability to run infrastructure in just one cloud or just on-prem, but hybrid cloud is inevitable, which is what HPE has been saying for the last 5 years anyway. As a result, it became obvious that there needed to be some additional capabilities brought to these models to bridge the gap and unify the overall solutions. So this is where HPE GreenLake monitoring and insight comes in. This allows you to monitor both your public and your private cloud environments in one common portal and compare the insights for both. It'll show you that perhaps if you were to take a large database instance on-prem in the cloud, you could save some money. Or maybe there are some applications running in the public cloud that would be a better fit on-prem. Why this is valuable is because if you think about it, the same technologists and analysts that were overbuilding and buffering infrastructure on-prem are also over provisioning instances and VMs in the cloud. And this platform will make it obvious what you really need and where is the best place to run it financially. The other benefit that comes along with the service goes back to our acquisition of like Red Pixie, where there's a bench of experts that can help you build out your workload placement strategically for a hybrid world. So with all of these models, there's kind of a bow that sits on top. Oh, sorry. There's a bow that sits on top that is what we call GreenLake Central. And it really ties all of these methods and models together in for hybrid cloud. And it's called, and it's really a centralized portal made of components for analytics, cost control, and compliance. So it's not all separate or individual models and solutions. It's a portfolio of solutions that are all going to be managed together and that are accessible through this platform and through this portal for management. So ultimately, it's not really just that line of responsibility that matters. It's also the level of delivery that matters as well, as you go into an as-a-service type of model. So here's a snapshot of what HPE does in the background when you are on a hybrid GreenLake model. So, there's all kinds of ways to mitigate risk through patching and best practices. And these are the kind of things that happen in the background as you consume infrastructure. And this may be very different than how you or another customer is used to interacting with their IT operations, especially when you're looking at on-prem infrastructure. And it's definitely a paradigm shift for many of our customers. But keep in mind that that line of responsibility and that level of delivery is flexible based on the need of the customer. So if you have specific skills around a particular piece of infrastructure, like for instance, containers, you could take responsibility for that piece and manage it on your own and support it on your own. And HPE could then manage everything else around that. And we could work together in those instances in order to offer a total solution, right? So being able to choose where that line of responsibility lies means both the customer and HPE have skin in the game and are dedicated to the success of each other. So it's a true partnership in this case. So HPE has come a long way, and this is a snapshot of the services we deliver as part of the GreenLake portfolio of solutions. It covers a wide range of application platforms, high performance compute, rendering solutions, AI and machine learning, SAP HANA for ERP, big data platforms, data protection. So each workload can be metered in the best way that fits the particular customer that's utilizing. So it could be metered in compute units or deploy or terabytes of capacity utilized. It could be metered in terabytes backed up if it's a backup solution, or maybe even just a compute unit utilized, amount of memory utilized or something. So there's a lot of flexibility in how the solution is put together. It's not just t-shirt sizes. So that type of flexibility allows you to really build out something that will be a best fit for you and make sure that your workload is running in the best place. So HPE also puts a lot of stock and investment into what we call our Pathfinder program. And Pathfinder is really how we deliver an extended ecosystem. The process is really pretty straightforward. The concept is straightforward, where HPE Labs looks at the marketplace and our partners and our own business units to figure out where we might have holes in the features and capabilities that we have to offer, and also what are the trends in technology, where are things going? And by doing this, we're able to identify new players that would be good candidates for joint ventures with HPE and bring additional value to our customers. And as we do this, we have some very specific criteria as we pick these. We look at this process in finding these partners. First of all, they need to be in what we call the commercial phase of their development. They need to be seen as a leader in their emerging technology category. They need to align with what our customers are actually asking for, right? This isn't just for technology's sake, but needs to actually solve real world problems. They need to be backed by top venture capital firms. It doesn't do any good to partner with somebody that's going to go away next week, right? And they also need to be doing something different than what HPE is already doing. And so here's a snapshot of some of these that we're developing and working with in our Pathfinder program. You can see some pretty big names out there that are offering some amazing solutions. And really, this is investing and developing these vendors is very important to HPE by expanding our ecosystem to drive better insight and value to our customers. I hope that this has been interesting and that I've given you a good overview of HPE's strategy. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm at jonathan.harris@hpe.com. Thank you.